Tell you this week, we're all trying to follow what's going on as Joe Biden and President Xi are meeting in San Francisco, and the Asian leaders are over there meeting with the President of the United States. And Bill O'Reilly did an outstanding job covering this all week long on his show, which you can find on BillO'Reilly.com. The premium membership is well worth your time. Bill, good morning. Welcome on in Kansas City as always. We appreciate you being here. What's your big takeaway from that summit this week?
Nothing. Everybody had some nice meals on you and me, Mundo. We paid for it. The most important story, going in the big picture was the city of San Francisco miraculously removing thousands of drug addicts and their squalor from the streets before Xi came in from Beijing. And that just shows everybody that the city of San Francisco is so derelict in its duty to the people who live there. And I know people in Kansas City and listening to us right now, they don't care what happens in San Francisco. I get it. But this is happening everywhere, where these drug addicts are allowed to congregate together and to practice all kinds of depravity, sticking needles in their skin in front of children walking to school. I mean, how disgusting is this? Yet, when there's an event like the big Chinese guy coming in, all of a sudden, presto, they're gone. So there's no doubt anymore that the progressive movement in America does not care about quality of life at all, does not care about individual Americans at all. And, if you continue to give these people power, that's what you're going to get. That's the biggest story. Now, as far as Biden is concerned, as I said on the No Spin News, and thanks for the nice plug on BillO'Reilly.com, Biden doesn't really make policy anymore. He's a figurehead. He's like King Charles in England, okay? And the two guys sitting next to him, Blinken and Jake Sullivan, the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, they're making the policy. And they did what they could. I mean, she goes, we're going to crack down on the chemicals for fentanyl. It's a bunch of bull. Even if they did crack down, which they won't, because there's too much money coming into China to buy those chemicals, somebody else would make them. What do you think? There's only one country that can make chemicals for fentanyl? Come on. Mm-hmm. It's just ridiculous. And it's Biden's fault anyway, because he has a wide open border where the cartels in Mexico can smuggle as much fentanyl in there as they want. It's Biden's fault. Mm-hmm. Okay? I would have liked to seen Xi go, look, I'm going to crack down on you, Joe Biden. I'm cracking down on you because of your insane border policy. Try sneaking into communist China. See how far that gets you. All right? Yeah. It's absurd. And what I try to do to my listeners and viewers is to point out the absurdity of this whole charade at the federal level. It is just garbage. And I think that people are catching on because the poll numbers for Biden cannot get any worse. He's the worst poll numbers that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And if it were anybody running against him other than Trump, they'd be ahead of Biden by 20 points. But Trump is so polarizing that it keeps his numbers down. But despite that, he's beaten Biden in all the polls now.
So when you look at that, Bill O'Reilly, to tie those two things together, California, Gavin Newsom, 2024, you've been saying it for a long time. Biden's not going to be the guy. He's not going to be the guy. Is Newsom going to be the guy? And if so, when does that potentially happen? Okay.
I doubt it. I think the Democrats will pivot into, they'll have an embarrassing situation with Kamala Harris. Because they know she can't win, but she'll, obviously go, I'm second in line. You got to support me. If you don't, you're a racist. That's what Kamala will do. Mm-hmm. But it'll be some kind of governor or maybe the senator from Minnesota, Klobuchar, somebody like that, where they can trot out and basically run on an anti-Trump election. I mean, they're already doing that. The media has already decided the narrative is going to be Trump's a Nazi, and anybody who votes for Trump is a stormtrooper. That's the campaign. That's it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so to run against that, you don't need a Biden or a Kamala. You need somebody who's almost invisible.
Yeah.
Certainly not Gavin Newsom. I mean, my God. So they'll try to find somebody in that area and trot them out as the dark horse candidate.
Well, I mean, as often goes in politics, Bill, as you well know, right? If the election is a referendum on you, you're probably going to lose, a la Hillary in 2016 and then Trump in 2020. So that's the playbook for 2024 for the Democrats. How does Trump combat it?
Well, I don't know. Because, my advice to the former president is to run on your record, and he is not doing that. Mm-hmm. He's running a grievance campaign. Now, the grievance campaign will work in the people who like him, the MAGA people, and support him. That's why he's way ahead in the Republican primaries, because they're supporting Trump, and they know that Trump's getting hosed, and he is. There's no doubt about it. But instead of running on his record, which might persuade independents to support him, he's still doing the grievance thing. I think that's a mistake. But the big story, Pete, this week is Manchin. He's the huge story because it looks to me like he's going to run as a third-party candidate. He's 76 years old. This is his last shot. He wouldn't win if he ran for re-election in West Virginia, which is why he's hanging it up there. He would be defeated. He knows he would be defeated. So I think there's a good chance that he'll put together a third-party run, and then he'll take from both Biden and Trump.
Wow. Now, Manchin has said, as you noted, West Virginia senator, that he's absolutely considering it. Is there a realistic path there, though, or does he just play spoiler a la an RFK Jr.?
But you don't know who he's going to spoil. See, this is why it's such a fascinating story, and by far and away the most important story of the week for Americans. So he can get in. All he has to do is raise enough money to get on the ballots in all 50 states. You've got to get signatures to get on the ballots. Okay, each state has different laws. But he can do that if he raises. That's why he's on every cable show, every network show now. He wants to raise money. And then if he gets on the ballot, then he goes on in and says to America, look, both of these guys or both parties are insane, but I'm not. So vote for me, the moderate guy. And that is an appeal. Mm-hmm. Whereas RFK Jr. is basically an anti-vaxxer guy. He doesn't have a wide appeal. You might note that he was for reparations, and then he's not. Now he isn't, after I said, are you kidding me? And so the next day he goes, well, no, I'm not really for it, after he said he was for it. So I don't see him getting more than 8%. But Manchin could get up there. He could get up 20%. I don't think he's going to win, but you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, with Biden and Trump both having, problems, in perception problems in this country, Manchin comes in, and that's going to stir it up big time.
Bill O'Reilly on KCMO. Bill, are we living through the steady collapse of the two-party system?
No. Okay. No. The two parties have too much money. They'll be around. It's just that we have right now anger in this country at an unprecedented level in modern times. Everybody hates everybody. Both sides hate each other. That's really unhealthy. Really, really unhealthy. But no, the parties will be there. I think it's better for the country to have three parties. So, I mean, I'm not rooting for anybody. I don't do that. But a third party, a vibrant third party, is a good thing for democracy.
You mentioned the hatred there, Bill. I mean, how does it end?
It's an evolution. It doesn't really end. It just goes in cycles. So now we're in the pre-Civil War cycle. Again, this is where we are. We're in the 1850s now. We're back to the 1850s. I'm buying a little horse now. I'm going to ride around that neighborhood. And, the hatred then was unbelievable. And that's why the war broke out. We're not quite at that level, but we're heading there.
Mm-hmm. Bill, last thing on just have you seen and did you expect this level of anti-Israel sentiment to be coming out of major American cities in New York where you are on college campuses? Are you surprised by it, or is this par for the course and what you would have expected over the last few weeks?
I did not expect it, but I'm not surprised by it because it isn't, the numbers aren't that big. That's what people don't get. The news media rushes in to show all this anti-Semitism and these demonstrations, and the biggest kook in the world gets all the airtime he or she wants. But most people aren't this way. But you wouldn't know that by watching television news or going on the internet because the kooks dominate.
Yeah.
But most Americans aren't anti-Semitic. They're not pro-Hamas. I mean, maybe you put the number at 15% of loons out there, maybe 15.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to wish your audience happy Thanksgiving. So here's what's happening. I'm gonna ruin everybody's Thanksgiving at the O'Reilly household.
Uh-oh. All right.
Yep.
Let's hear it.
Here's what I'm doing. Okay, so everybody comes in, free meal on me. That's okay. I'm a free spending kind of guy. Everybody's going to have everything they want. But the price you pay for the free dinner is I'm going to read the opening chapter aloud of Killing the Witches, where the real story of the Mayflower is told. People think the Mayflower was the Love Boat. Okay? They think it was Princess Cruise Line. It was the worst. It was so harrowing. And you're 100 people trapped below deck, 5-foot ceilings. One guy gets so crazy, and the captain said, "You can't come out below. You can't come up on the deck. It's too windy. It's too cold. You can't do it. Stay down there." One guy said, "No, I'm going out." He hits the deck. Boom! He's overboard in the ocean.
Yeah.
And this is miraculous. There was a rope at the end of the Mayflower. He grabs it, and they save him, which is like a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Anyway, I'm reading that so that it's not everybody goes, "Oh, Thanksgiving, pilgrims pass the stuffing." No, this was brutal. So that's the kind of guy I am, Pete. I always lift spirits everywhere I go. Killing the Witches, man. You really want to know about your country's foundings and Thanksgiving, that's the book.
It is such a good read. And you stole my thunder on the plug there, Bill, because I do want to share with the audience this, that we have our Children's Miracle Network Miracle Day of Hope coming up on December 7th, and you have been kind enough for our top 10 donors next month to address them and give them a signed copy of Killing the Witches. So I wanted to thank you ahead of time for that. I know it's going to be a great way to raise money for kids dealing with cancer and everything else here in Kansas City. So thank you so much.
We're happy to do it. Love the area. Love the Chiefs. I hope the Royals somehow get together. I may have to come in and manage the team, Pete. I might have to take it over.
That sounds like a great retirement gig for you one day, Bill O'Reilly. I like the sound of that. And by the way, you got us against the Eagles on Monday. Are you picking the Chiefs, or do you think the Eagles are a little too tough?
I don't do that anymore because I'd have to sell my house. You just can't bet those games. You can't pick those games. A lot to do with emotions, a lot to do with somebody's ankle hurts, and, nobody knows that kind of stuff. Two evenly matched teams, obviously. I was at the Super Bowl. I watched them shoot it out last February. It was an unbelievably great game. And so they're very, very evenly matched teams. I don't want to weasel out. You know me, I'm usually on it. But I have no blanket idea who's going to win that game.
I agree. It's going to be a great game, and you're always welcome to be a part of one of those, Bill. I've got a pair of tickets for you. The people would love to see you at Arrowhead Stadium. I know that much.
Yeah, it's an enticing offer, Pete. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and thanks for having me in.
You too as well. That is Bill O'Reilly. Great to have him on KCMO Talk Radio. As always, 95.7 FM. And there you go. During our Radiothon next month, it's going to be on December 7th, Thursday. The top 10 donors are going to get signed copies of Bill O'Reilly's Killing the Witches. So we're going to raise some big money for kids here in Kansas City.